Hey, what's up, y'all? Sam Coleman of Love Local Real Estate. I've been asked a lot this week about what it takes to buy a home and what it means for a millennial. Like, how do we do that? Nobody even taught us, or we didn't learn about it in school, and we got a ton of debt. So what are we going to do about it? How do we get to buy a home like our parents did? And how does that benefit us? How can we build wealth through owning a home? And that's what this episode is all about. What's up, guys? Sam Coleman here of Love Local Real Estate, your preferred real estate agent here in Las Vegas. Today we are in a single-story home, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 3-car garage, and the monthly payment on this home is $2,700 a month, just over 2,600 square feet, and it's a single-story in the southwest area, highly desired area. So that's the featured home. They only have 3 of these models available right now. So for more information, call us, text us, and just to jump right in, I have a special guest, Rosa. We're good friends. He's going to talk about financial planning and how buying a home is an investment, not just a place to live, but you can actually build wealth through home ownership. And we're also going to talk about other ways to invest, like mutual funds and the difference between the two. But before we jump right in, Luis, tell us about yourself and where you're from, how you got here to Vegas, and got into business.
Well, first of all, thanks, Sam, for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be featured in your Sundays with Sam. This is great. So my name is Rosa. I am a financial planner. Originally, I was born and raised in Dominican Republic. I came here to the United States when I was 12 years old. Lived in New York most of my life, and then I moved to Vegas about a year ago in December of 2015, just a little bit over a year ago. And I've been here ever since. I'm loving it. So I'm glad I was able to meet somebody like Sam that loves the local real estate here, the people, and just knows all the ins and outs of everything. Every time I speak with him, he hits me with a small little fact about Vegas. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So I'm very honored to be here with you.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, man. I love this city, and coming from Baltimore, just the East Coast in general is completely different. It's completely different, But we get over 300 and some days of sunshine, so every day, that's why I'm always in a good mood, But we're going to talk about, just the difference between owning a home and then investing in a mutual fund, and what that looks like for somebody in our generation, the millennials, or somebody that's not, the baby boomers. No matter what age group you're in, there's an opportunity for you to prepare for your future, and we can do that through home ownership. So talk about the difference between buying a home and a mutual fund. What is a mutual fund?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So basically, most people probably heard of stocks, right? Stocks, bonds. A mutual fund gives you the opportunity to buy a whole bunch of stocks in one device, basically. So let's say you buy a technology mutual fund. That mutual fund might have stock in Apple, and Dell, all that stuff. So it might be 20 different companies. So you're actually invested in one sector, but you're not investing in just one company. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So, and it also gives you professional management, because there's somebody actually managing the mutual fund and handling the trades within the components of the mutual fund. So you get professional management. They're relatively pretty cheap. And also you get diversification, just because you actually have more than one egg in the basket. So you have different strategies within the mutual fund. So basically, when I look at real estate versus a mutual fund, just to give you an example, let's say you purchase a home here that's $200,000, and you get in with 5% down, which is really $10,000, which is not a lot when you look at it. And let's say closing costs are about 3%. So let's 3%. Say $7,000 in closing costs. So let's say your initial deposit is $17,000 to get in the home, including your down payment and your closing costs. If you compare that to investing $17,000 in a mutual fund, and let's say over a 3-year period, and I'm going to use conservative rate to say 5% rate of return. Let's say that mutual fund goes from $17,000 to almost $20,000 in 3 years, growing at a 5% rate of return. If you look at the home, $200,000 growing at 5% a year for 3 years, the home is worth $231,000. So you went from 17 to 20 in the mutual fund, and from 200,000 to 231 in the home. So 10 times as much growth in the home. So buying real estate is an excellent way of you actually building wealth, because you're actually using other people's money for it. You put in 10% and you borrow 90% of it. You're using the bank's money. And in today's rate environment, rates are pretty low. They're probably somewhere in the low to mid 4s, depending on the day. And on top of that, most people will get a tax deduction on that interest rate and property taxes. So when you look at it, you're borrowing maybe at 3%, and you're getting 5 or 6 return on the asset appreciation. So it's a good deal.
That was a very detailed answer. How long have you been in the business, Luis?
I've been in the business a little bit over 15 years. I graduated college in 2001, and I went right in actually into finance. I was working with another certified financial planner at the time for 15 years, so I learned a lot just being the client-facing person, just being in every meeting and handling all the client calls and emails and all that stuff. And now I'm with a different company than I was with in New York, but doing the same thing. So for those that don't know, financial planning basically is me looking at your goals into the future and saying, all right, how can we get there? So it's not coming from a judgmental standpoint. I can do your budget. You know, if you want to budget $10,000 to go on vacation, then so be it. You know, it's a matter of your choices and your lifestyle. I'm just here to tell you how you can get there. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, perfect. So my next question, so we're looking at, for the audience, let's just say, just for an example, we have a viewer right now that's 25 years old, out of college, has a decent job, making money, student loan debt, of course, and where should they start? Should they wait until they chip away at the debt that they have, whether it's credit cards or student loans or car payment, or should they start preparing now?
I don't think they should wait, because if you think about it, especially the millennial crowd that just recently graduated college, we're going to have student loans for a very long time out into the future. So if you wait to save until you're debt free, you're going to lose out tremendously on the opportunities to save and build wealth. So I would say start now, even if it's small. It could be $25, $50 a month. And you're just going to build that habit, build that muscle. And eventually you're going to get to a point where you're saving enough where you can then take that money and buy real estate or start investing, whatever the case might be.
Cool. So basically, no matter what, just end up calling me.
Absolutely. Call Sam.
No, but that makes a lot of sense. So like definitely for somebody who's gone through college and high school without being taught how to budget, understanding that owning a house isn't like you're going to live in this house for the rest of your life, but it can actually be a vehicle to actually make more money. So when you talk about a mutual fund or buying a home, what's the difference between the two? So should a 25-year-old buy a home first, or should they invest in a mutual fund?
Gotcha. Well, I think you can do both. One way, obviously, to get into a home, even if it's little, you're going to need some sort of money to get in, whether it's 3% down plus closing costs. So at some point, you want to start putting some money away. Now, if you think about it, you probably don't want to just put it into a savings account, because that might not necessarily grow as much as you need it to.
And you might spend it.
Then you might spend it, right? So it's like out of sight, out of mind. So if you want to put it into, there are conservative funds out there. You don't have to necessarily put it all into the market where you're going to be fluctuating up and down and might not have the money when you need it. There are conservative funds out there, but at least they pay you somewhat of a percentage more than what you get at the bank. So I say you can do both. You can start putting some money away until you have that 3-5% down that you need to get into the home, and then use that money to buy the home asset.
Okay. So what about the person that's not 25 years old? They're not a millennial. They are established, they're in a career, but they haven't started, or they don't have the structure. So you're talking about somebody that's a little bit further along in life already.
Gotcha.
Is it too late, so to speak?
Gotcha. Well, no, not at all. Not at all. It's never too late. If you think about it, if you're structured already, you have your 3 to 6 months of expenses, let's say. That's usually what I recommend. If you could do at least anywhere between 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses set aside for emergencies, or somebody loses a job or something like that, or foreseen disability or something. After you have that, if you have additional monies after that and you don't have the structure as to what to do with it, you want to then find whatever vehicle it is that's going to help you achieve that goal. And real estate could be one of those. So if you think about it, when you look at your budget, you're comparing your expenses and your income, you have some money left over every month. What are we going to do with this money? We have to create different buckets. So one would be, okay, we're going to buy an investment property, or do we want to invest, or do we have retirement savings? So we take whatever is left at the end of the month, and that's one of the things I help people do, is basically say, okay, what buckets do you need to create to get to where you want to be? So if real estate is one of those, you want to buy an investment property or something like that, then we got to start saving that into one of those buckets. And that's how the structure would be. And if you look at it, Sam and I were talking about how when you're saving and budgeting, it doesn't really sound sexy. It doesn't sound appealing, because who wants to budget? I mean, the word budget itself just sounds very restrictive. So One of the things that I recommend is that you make it more goals based, so that you're focused more on the end result, and that might motivate you a little more. And it could be something as silly as like printing out a photo of that home that you want and pasting it next to the budget on the fridge, so that you know when you feel like you're sacrificing, at least you know what it's for. You got a little bit of a reminder. And also, you want to make sure it's fun, that when you're budgeting, that you do have some money in there that's allocated towards specifically for fun. So you have one for vacation and one for your weekend spending, a bottle of wine or going to the movies, whatever the
We
case might
definitely
be.
need a budget for wine. It's mandatory.
It's 1 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yeah, somewhere. It's happy hour somewhere for sure. In our house, it's always happy hour. But that's great stuff, man. So I think ideally the goal with this Q&A was just to give some information about, you know, investing in real estate, or just in general planning for the future, and how you can plan for your future by investing in real estate, or any type of mutual fund that helps you put your money in the market or in a different place to give you some type of return. Because we're not going to be dependent on our parents forever. At least I don't want to depend on my mom or dad, and I don't want anybody else to have to depend on the baby boomers, because they always talk about how millennials don't save money and we don't have the structure. So we want to give you structure. I need structure. My wife, we need structure, and we have it now, and it's made a tremendous difference in our finances and even in our marriage, because we're both on the same page. So if any questions, feel free to contact Luis. His contact information will be in the description below. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.